El Segundo.
Brandon Nimmo leads off against Corbin Burnes and takes the first pitch cutter for a strike. Burnes will throw a career around.
Well, you see the numbers since the start of 2020. He went down successful, adopted that cutter, throws strikes with it. And when he is right, he will impose his will on the opposing lineup.
And that curveball is awfully hard to hit too this year. And Nimmo takes a back foot cutter and it's 3-2. That's the other thing that Burnes did. He ditched his.
That's an unusual move as well.
Slapped the other way and Nimmo's got a base hit. How many times has he done that already this year? Just hit it between the third baseman on the line, and Nimmo's aboard to start the first inning.
And
here's Starling Marte. And he takes fastball low for ball one.
Steal on him, Ronnie, but he has to come back. Oh, he keeps it right in front of him. Interesting. Yeah, he never brings it back.
Interestingly enough, Hader is not here, which certainly could have an effect on the outcome of tonight's game and tomorrow's. 1-2 to Marte with Lindor on deck. And that's slapped into center field. A base hit right off the end of the bat by Marte. Nimmo pulls in at second. And so the Mets with a couple of soft singles to begin the bottom of the first. Well, 2 since he fractured his finger. And he goes after a back foot cutter, 0-1. The shoulder, and Brandon Woodruff on the injured list as well. He's had multiple problems. Most recently, the 1 for 9 in his career against Burnes. And another back foot cutter, and it's 1-2.
That's a good one right there.
And Lindor takes one just off the plate, and it's 2-2. In that 4 1/3. Curveball fouled off. This is the same guy who last year set for him. And Lindor goes down swinging for the first out.
Interesting. Pete always rests that bat on his back shoulder, and then when the pitcher goes into his motion or his stretch, he kind of lifts it off.
The curveball by Burnes, and it's 1-1. That machine enabled Nimmo and Marte aboard with 1 out. He got a good swing at that cutter and fouled it off. 1-2.
Have to come inside.
And that's what they're going to try and do. And Pete lofts one down the left field line, and that's going to fall foul. Oh. Just missed.
Good eye.
Wouldn't bite on the slider, and it's 2-2. 2-2 to Alonso. And Pete pops one up in foul ground. Hira circles in, should have room, and he does. And that's the second out. Game. It should have been an error on me. I should have had it. And McNeil takes a knee-high cutter for a strike.
Well, it's not predictable.
Pulls one over the bag. Nice play by Hira, and he'll take it himself. And Burnes escapes first inning trouble. Great. And Mama.
What's your favorite, Gary? You got the Italian. I like the turkey and mozzarella.
I like the turkey and mozzarella, but with the sandwich. Eduardo Escobar DHing tonight. And the cutter from Burnes has him in the hole. 90 hit for the cycle.
He's hit better on the road than at home.
And he's hit much better.
Played for these Brewers at the end of last.
Now there's strike 3 called. Letter high cutter. Burnes was pitching wonderfully out of the bullpen. He was a rookie that year. And they said next year he's going to come back and be a starter. And off late in the year and missed the postseason. Canada takes inside. It's 1-1. And then he began that transformation where he became, well, maybe the best. Remember Toronto had Halladay and Chris Carpenter, and they sent them both to the low minor. Fastball off the plate. It's 2-2. I know those are award winners. Jonathan India just got back for the Red, and they rallied to beat Arizona today. Canna lifts one out to right, easy for Renfroe. And after giving up 2 straight hits to start the game, Burnes has now retired 5 straight. 2 in one day. They were both thrown by the same team, the Houston Astros. Luis Garcia. A slice off the third baseline, and that'll go foul untouched. Nathaniel Lowe, Ezekiel
everywhere he goes.
And Guillorme goes down on strikes. Change up that time from Burnes. Third, trailing 2-0. Patrick Mazeika batting 9th in the order. And Corbin Burnes misses low, I think. At bats. Nimmo and Marte to follow in the third. And that one misses as well. And now Burnes finds the plate. There's a couple of NAIA schools and St. Mary's. That was it. And St. Mary's turned out to be the perfect place for him. Burnes had a lot of accomplishments last year in his Cy Young, matching Tom Seaver's record. And hooked into right field. Over toward the line comes Renfroe, and he reaches out to make the catch. Nice play by Renfroe. So he had a lot on his plate last year. Most of it good. Brandon Nimmo takes inside, and we check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
So Gary, with Brent trusting his eye, he did say though that there is one exception for that. Nimmo likes to look at the ride on the 20 inches or higher, then he swings a ball and a half above where he thinks that pitch is going to land. Everything below 17 inches though, he trusts his eyes to just swing. I know that I have to swing above where I think that fastball is going to be.
And of course, as any student of physics knows, the ball does not actually rise. As Nimmo pops one up and Adames grabs it, the 17 inches is a.
You got to make him get it down. So it's interesting how they've got all the technology today.
I think one of the issues in preparing to hit these days, everybody
agreed,
and that makes the analytics and the video so much more valuable as Marte nubs one that just curls foul. You know what I mean? It would be hard to have a memory bank for 4.
So that was one thing that really surprised me.
As Marte goes down swinging on a changeup, and that is strikeout number 4 for Burnes, who's retired 9 in a row. He faces Francisco Lindor to lead off and gets the curveball over for a strike. And was brilliant both times, once in Milwaukee and once here. And cutter misses low and in, a ball and a strike. It's Tim for the Cy Young, and the reason why the balloting wound up being so close, Zach Wheeler came within an eyelash of beating, strikeouts per 9 innings, home runs per 9 innings, all those metrics, per inning. The qualifying number, but with a starter, swing and a miss, and Lindor down on strikes. 5 strikeouts for Burnes. Well, Steve was talking earlier about how players use
high leverage relievers and their starters, not about the 15 pitchers they might be carrying. It's not, it's about things that are pertinent.
Forward to the hour-plus meetings every day on a daily basis. I think I would have checked out long, but by May.
Well, I said this last year, and I'll say it again. The analytics in a way that is helpful to players, and I think the Mets got away from that last year, but under this, it needs to stay away from you. Alonso fouled out his first time up. He's reaching for another cutter and fouling it off.
Runners in scoring position.
Is that something you get in the advanced scouting report, or and spreadsheets? Curveball pop foul, and Caratini coming back right at the warning track. He makes the diving catch. Whoa. And a ball that in the bucket in Durham.
There you go.
McNeil drives one deep toward the right field corner. That ball is out of here. Jeff McNeil jumping on a first pitch from Corbin Burnes to get the Mets on the board. 4th home run of the year for McNeil to cut the Brewers lead to 3-1. Well, Burnes had retired 11 in a row. Here has now given up 10 this year. And Escobar with a check swing foul. flies one to right. This one will stay in the ballpark for Renfroe. And that retires the side. But Jeff McNeil gets the Mets their first run. One in the fourth. That seemed to make it a game. It's less of a game now. I mean, it's still. Well, I mean, you always want to get your hits, right, Keith?
Yep. You never want to give away your at bats, but you want to keep the pedal down, I guess is what you're saying. Even though you never know.
That's true.
I mean, I heard about freezing the kicker or taking a long time out to get the guy off his free throws, but that's ridiculous.
I mean, what's Mega Millions at tonight? Fastball inside, 2-2 to count. Boy, just saying.
Okay.
Canna fouls back a fastball.
That was a straight four-seamer right there. Up
for him to not walk anybody. And he strikes out Canna with a cutter. That is striking. And what he did was refine it and make it a true cutter, which
it's done now. If you look at his real good cutters away from the right-handed hitters, they'll not only go across but sometimes down.
McCutcheon comes in to pick off Guillorme's fly ball, 2 out.
Ball to make its way away from the right-handed hitter.
So it's actually the seams that create the movement?
Yeah, it's always the seams that you are trying. The better cutter you're going to have.
But by throwing it the same way you throw your fastball, that way you're able to keep the majority of your velocity.
Keep most of your velocity and of course
on his glove hand, and he would work those seams throughout the game when he got a ball.
He would scratch at him.
Patrick bounces one foul.
Award.
Gonsolin may have one for the first half of this year.
You know, I only invented it for one team.
Why did you use it against anybody else? 3-2 to Mazika with 2 out. And he takes a weak cutter, and that'll do it for the Mets. He starts his 3rd tour of the Mets batting order. Brandon Nimmo leads off. Nimmo is single to left and popped to short. That's got the first 2 men on against Burnes tonight. Singles by Nimmo and Marte, and then Burnes in the 4th. Nimmo floats one foul. Hey, I don't know if it.
I saw the Mets made 5 errors in that game.
That's drilled down the right field line by Nimmo, and he buries that in the corner for an extra base hit. And Nimmo's going to tool around second and try for 3. The relay throw to third by Arias, not in time. And Brandon Nimmo has. Seems like that wrist might be feeling a little better. Day off probably did him a world of. Ronnie, I know the goal is to win games.
Yeah. But I never think that way. You know, I'm thinking just victory is enough. I'm the one who gave up the triple. Why?
Your way of doing that, and that's to strike the next 2 guys out. And Marte is hit by the pitch. So after 3 Brewers got struck, here's Lindor, 1st and 3rd, and nobody out. That's trying to make a dent here in the 6th inning after a trip. 22 RBIs in his 12-game span. This one's popped up. Retreating is Adames. Coming in is McCutcheon, and nobody's going to move. That's the first out. Let's check in with the studio. Eamon McEnany has a game break brought to you by your local times. It's hard to do in this ballpark. Fouled out twice in a row. Speaking of which, how about this? Mets were in San Diego while playing first base in foul ground. Didn't catch it. They ruled it a no play. The at-bat continued, and the Padres. It's funny how those things work sometimes. Burnes gets. Caratini sets up outside, and he misses high with that fastball.
He just tried to throw that as hard as he could.
Early rally cap. And Pete goes down swinging on the high cutter. And that's
Wow, I believe that.
Well, when he was hitting all those home runs in 2019, it's
the total.
And he loops this one into right center. That's going to fall for a hit, and that'll bring in a run. Nimmo crosses the plate. To third goes Plummer, and McNeil trying for an extra base.